When a sliver of cold moonlight in the deep night of millennia ago slanted across an anonymous wilderness by the Euxine Sea, the air was steeped in the faint scent of wormwood and the saline crispness of sea mist dispersed by the nocturnal gale. Inside a humble tent of heavy linen, a woman with silvering hair, yet eyes reflecting a profound sense of universal desolation, sat in absolute stillness, opening her pale, almost translucent hands. She was not concocting those fearsome draughts of old. Instead, upon a yellowed parchment, she recorded the trajectories of the stars in an exquisite, slender script. She was Medea, a woman who should have inherited a throne, yet fell from the zenith of power, exiling herself to the foreign wilds for decades. This is a chronicle of how restraint erupts into power, and how solitude is transmutated into nobility. The genesis of Medea's life held none of the ethereal lightness typical of a princess. Instead, it was a dark gray foundation woven from rigorous magical codes and irrevocable bloodlines amidst the emerald shadows of Colchis. As the eldest daughter of the descendants of the sun, born to be the guardian of sacred order, she inherited a microcosm that was ruthlessly cold, governed by hallowed contracts and the high-stakes gambits of prophecy. In libraries reddened by the glow of campfires, she learned to use her gaze to perceive the essential structures of fate lurking behind every vanishing point. This relentless pursuit of existential truth became the first incurable fold in her psyche, and the only armor that would guard her reality in a world of chaos. She understood that prosperity was not a boon granted by grace, but a sacred logic that grew naturally from an ultimate respect for knowledge and laud. If her early years as an heir were the tempering of her will, then her time aiding the Argonaut Jason to seize the Golden Fleece was the practical crucible that pushed Medea's aesthetics of strategy to its absolute zenith. She overthrew the prevailing divine fashions of opportunism, resolutely offering the secret draft capable of taming the fire-breathing bulls to a mortal hero, even if it meant defying the total weight of her father's wrath. In those quiet nights, through ruthlessly precise calculations of codices, she issued silent commands that stabilized the order of the voyage. In those moments, Medea was the most sober and solitary artisan of the entire Greek world. She accepted every mockery with silence. This radical focus rendered her like a marble bell tower, solitary and soaring, yet indestructible. The summit of power in the eyes of the wise is often manifested as the penetration of truth. Medea gradually realized that when she eventually stepped into her journey of exile following the world-shaking vengeance, she had obtained not just freedom, but a nihility that saw through the rise and fall of all things. This transition, returning from empress to watcher, was fraught with intellectual struggle, yet it endowed her with a cold, almost translucent peace. She remarked in her final resonance, "I once believed I was building the future, now I find I am merely searching for a point of convergence within the scarred fissures of memory, where the soul no longer falls." This expansive clarity became the hardest armor of her twilight years. The final mythic season of Medea was spent in a state of profound solemnity and a silence illuminated by the radiance of a sage. At the dusk of the mythic age, the rains of the Aegean fell without a sound. By then, the goddess's body had become remarkably weightless from years of melancholy. Her once heavy dark robes now hung loosely upon her slender frame. In her final conscious moments, she requested time to lead her to the window, to listen one last time to the tides, a melody belonging to her inner self, with no audience but the void. She closed her eyes, tracing a final arc of completion across her chest. She left behind no vast family treasures. Only this scorched, benevolent wisdom that still glows after 2 millennia. Her disappearance was like a magnificent concerto entering its final decrescendo, marking the official curtain call of an era in a steady resonant echo. Even today, millennia after her departure, the name Medea remains the sole sanctuary for many insomniac seekers in the deep of night. What she left behind was not a towering monument of triumph, but a spiritual template of self-restraint and civilizational vigil. In absolute shadow, she maintained absolute sobriety. Amidst absolute temptation, she held onto absolute logic. Beneath the ruins of the ancient city, worn smooth by history, she maintains that posture of leaning her head to listen, as if still soothing this increasingly restless and anxious world. Her life was an intellectual long march seeking sacred rhythms amidst the chaotic dust of the world. Medea's story thus draws to a slow close amidst the fading whispers of the tides in a foreign land. She was never an opportunist who bartered her essence for fame. She was merely a weary soul who steadfastly refused to compromise with mediocrity. Inner tranquility is your only true and eternal refuge. Just as she did during the coldest winter nights by the Black Sea, guarding a flickering candle and searching for a fulcrum of existence through the void. Please believe that in every person's life, there is a wilderness tent of their own, a private space for dialogue with a self that requires no outward explanation. May Medea's serenity and vastness become the softest feather in your dreams, carrying you to the farthest, most tranquil shore of the soul. Good night, and may sweet dreams be with you.